Welcome to Xtra presented by VDG Sports. I am your host, Vince Douglas Gregory. Noobs, new people, thank you for listening. Hello and goodbye. Regs, back at it again. Do what we do. Come up with a name. We're running out of centuries for this bond that we share and have. I was thinking about how I actually truly feel about standing in lines, and is it dependent on when, and it's dependent on where I am. And I was thinking, I really can't answer that. And I was just bouncing it back and forth. And I'm like, if I'm in a store or something, depending on what kind of store, there's even nuances there. What is it really? Because if I'm in a store shopping for food, I'm usually in line because I got to the point where I'm not going to, and I told the person this, I'm not going to work myself at your job. I'm not going to work myself at your job. Basically, I'm not going to scan all of my groceries and then pay, the self-serve line, scan all of my groceries and then bag it and then do all the other stuff when I'm paying the same prices or even more prices. So what happened to the bagger? What happened to the person who would do this? Or the cashier who would multitask and do both things at the same time while holding a conversation? They just don't make them like they used to. So I have no problem with standing in line, waiting for a person inside the grocery store or the store and I'm getting food. Because then I can just look at my trusty computer phone and just look and just scroll and just read and get some of the fake outrage and go somewhere and inform myself on some information. I can catch up on information. I can make myself useful. I can make my time useful. So there's no worry. There's nothing that I need to get done as soon as possible because usually I'm in, out. And that's a few places. But when it comes to actually the groceries, when it comes to actually buying the food, nah, I can wait. I'm cool. I'm chilling. I'm getting caught up on my information. I'm utilizing my time efficiently. Now, if I had one item and I'm waiting and the person in front of me has about, multiple items, then that will be an issue. However, it depends on what line I'm in. If it's the whatever 15 or less, then that might be an issue. If it's the 15 or less, then it might be an issue. But for the most part, it's okay. It is cool. It is okay. So the grocery store, it's fine. It's okay. It's all right. It's not no pressing need where I just need to get in and out real quick. And when I'm shopping, let's say for items like clothes or items, I'm usually in and out because I already have an idea of what I want. I don't let the magical objects around and the magical objects surrounding me, basically the shiny objects that get your attention, like, ooh. I basically don't let them distract me to my main goal so I can still go ahead and get what I need to get and everything's cool and everything's fine. And even then, there's really no rush because there's not too many people there to begin with, right? So I can wait. Then there's usually a conversation happening with the person who's there working or just some random stranger asking a useful question that I have no problem with answering. That's no issue. But then I started thinking a little bit harder. It's like, okay, So I truly don't have a problem with lines, do I? Then I thought about, okay, sporting event. Yeah, okay. Sporting event. That one's tricky. If I'm meeting up with someone at a sporting event and I'm in the line, that's okay. That's fine. We're all going to the same place. We'll get there. When we get there, usually there's somebody there that you can hold a convo with, or somebody there you can disagree with, or there's somebody there you can argue with about who's better or who's worse or who's who. You can basically have any conversation that you want to have or that you're up for. Even if your group is already there, you're talking, you're plotting, you're planning, you're strategizing, you're wondering, you're wishing, you're hoping, you're doing all the things that a fan would do amongst fans that are friendly, that are your friends. And I was like, okay, this really seems easy. I guess I don't have a problem with staying or being in a line. I don't have a problem with staying or being in a line. Then the light bulb came on. Then intuition and gut feeling was like, you didn't have enough. It's time for reality. It's time for that reality check. You done had enough. And then it hit me. It hit me like I was driving a scooter. Yeah, driving a scooter. If you know. It hit me like I was driving a scooter because it came out of nowhere. It didn't make any sense. And I was like, yeah, I should have known. I should have known. And that was amusement parks. Last time, or the last few times I went to amusement parks, those lines aren't cool. Those lines aren't good. Those lines have times telling you when you're going to get to your destination, but usually those times are wrong. They're standing around. You really can't pop out your phone and do what you need to do, because depending on what ride you're going on, you don't want to have your phone on you, period, because it might break or it might get wet or it just might get damaged. How about that? Damage covers everything. Waiting for the amusement rides isn't a fun thing. You can talk, you can conversate. But what you going to talk about? What you going to conversate about? You're not going to an event. You can't talk about the event unless the ride itself is the event. And if the ride itself is the event, when you get to the ride, you tired. You tired. You don't want to talk about the ride. I mean, you don't want to do the ride anymore because you done talked about it for 30, 40 minutes. So you don't want to overplay the ride. So you're not talking about the ride. You ain't got your trusty phone. If you do, it's in a safe space. It's in a safe space or place. The people around, you don't know each other, and you're so close together. Don't know each other. And there's just like this nervous, anxious energy that's protruding from everyone. And it's not necessarily the type of energy that you would use, or the type of energy that say, hey, come talk to me, or the type of energy that say, hey, let's hold a conversation. It's the type of energy that's like, I just want to get here. I just want to get up there. I just want to get up there. I just want to get up there. Oh, and that's the kind of energy that's coming out. That's the kind of emotions. That's the kind of feeling that's taking place in that line. And it's a long line that wraps around. And then I'm sitting there or standing there thinking to myself was like, who designed this? Who designed this? I need to figure out the engineer, the structural engineer, or the designer, the architect, or whoever I need to talk to. Please point me in the right direction, or write their name down on a piece of paper. So when I gets home, or when I gets done with this ride, and when I recover my phone, I can voice my colorful opinion to let them know how I think this is number 2. It's not that I'm holding up the number 2 fingers or the 2 fingers. I think it's number 2. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, I suggest you go back, rewind, and play again from here. Or I suggest you do what you need to do to go back in time and try it again. Don't worry, we'll wait for you. Don't worry, we will wait for you. We're a team. We are a team here. Sharing is caring, and we don't leave anybody back. We don't leave anybody behind. We move together. We make moves together. My happiness is your happiness. Your happiness is my happiness. I want to see you succeed. I don't want to see you fail. That's why we have this special, unique bond that we share and that we don't have a name for. But one day the regs will come up with a name for it. And that basically was me trying to inform what a little bit of this is to the noobs, the 1 or 2 that's still around, the 1 or 2 that's still around. Okay, hopefully that was enough time. Hopefully that was enough time. And we move on. And we move on. To let them know that it's number 2. To let them know that that's what I think of it, but in a nice way. In a nice way. Because the line, it's not from point A to point B. It's from point A to point B to point C to point D and blah, blah, blah. And we loop the loop, we wrap around and we go up, we go down. There's some stairs, then there's some under the stairs, and it's like, whoa. This a workout. This a maze. You got I respect you. I still think it is what it is. But I respect you. I respect you on a level that this creativity is definitely something that I wouldn't have come up with. I would have been like, hey, I'm efficient. Point A, point B, done. Point A, point B, done. This many people can be involved. This many people can stand. The rest can stand, but it'll loop-de-loop around somewhere else. Not by my making. Not by my making. Not by my design. I would have been that way. So I definitely have to give your creativity some praise, because to come up with some of the designs for the line that you come up with, it's like having a nightmare, waking up from the nightmare only to be in another nightmare that's almost real. And then you wake up from that and realize that you wasn't asleep the entire time, that everything is true. It is a nightmare. You're living a nightmare. Then next thing you know, you're like, oh, okay. It ain't a nightmare after all. I was just daydreaming. Reading this fantasy book behind my eyelids. Behind my eyelids. I'm going to have to turn this book back into the library one day. Yeah. Because the creativity that it took to design the line. And it's not like you can conversate with people because the energy that's getting put out. It's not that you got your device with you because you don't want the device damaged. And it's not like that this is going to be a short period of time. Whereas if you was in a store somewhere and it's only a couple of minutes or it's 10 minutes or it's 20 minutes at the most, these lines can last up to 30 minutes, up to 30, probably 40 or 60. And then the time that they tell you that it takes isn't the time that it is. It's just we expect that putting this up here saying this, you won't leave and you won't blame us and you won't spit hot flames at the people who work here that just make sure they press a couple of buttons and check for a safety issues and a safety belt, because that's what they do. They don't make the time. They don't have control over the time. They just do their job. They just do what they do. They not timekeepers. They not referees. They not officials. But they are the people that put the time up there. And that time gives you hope. That time gives you hope because you done been in line for so long and you see the time up there and you was like, I can do it a little bit longer. I've been here this long. I ain't no quitter. I ain't no quitter. And then you get to the point where you're so deep off in a crazy maze that even if you wanted to leave, you couldn't leave because it's too many people to try to bump through to get out of the line. And now you're stuck. And now you stuck in the line. You're a little bit angry. You're a little bit upset, but you ain't got nobody to be mad at or angry at but yourself. When you had the opportunity to leave, you didn't leave, but the sign up there said 20 minutes and you thought 20 minutes was 20 minutes. Now you done midway in the line and the 20-minute sign done turned from 20 to 40. And then now they done shut something else down and they waving some people on and you just upset at yourself. You just mad at yourself. Because you should have learned the lesson from the previous ride. You should have learned the lesson from the previous ride. But the thing about all of that, that still can make it worth it, if you get on that ride, and that ride is everything you wished for, everything that you dreamed of, all of the nightmares that you ever had. It just done went boom. Nightmare slayed. Nightmare gone. The hero's in town. The hero in this town. And you just smiling ear to ear. You getting that rush. You getting that excitement. You getting that risk factor. You done getting that risk factor that's going up to level 1,000. It ain't never been up to level 1,000 on its own before. And this ride done took it there. This ride done took it to a different place that you only go to when you ride the rides. And then when it's over with, you realize it was all worth it. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Thank you for listening. Be sure you check out the website at extra.vdgsports.com. This episode is not being sponsored by VinceDouglasGregory.com. VinceDouglasGregory.com is where you can keep up with me, my whereabouts, my well-being, and everything in between. Basically, all things Vince. There's a YouTube as well. Everything's there. Like, subscribe, share, because sharing is caring. Comment if you must, comment if you may. You know what to do. Peace. Ow, yeah. No longer that long.